Elsa's crystalline fingers traced the rejection notice for the 47th time that cycle. The holographic text floated before her in the communal chamber of Zephyr Station, each word a reminder of her unworthiness in the eyes of her own species. Application for partnership bond, denied. Reason, insufficient neural resonance compatibility. The other Vorthak females moved past her with barely a glance, their bioluminescent skin patterns pulsing in complex conversations she could never quite follow. Her own patterns flickered weakly, a dull amber against their vibrant blues and greens. In a species where mental harmony determined everything from career prospects to mating rights, Elsa was an anomaly, a neural misfit whose thoughts moved in patterns too chaotic for proper Vorthak society. She had tried everything: neural dampeners to quiet her erratic thought patterns, meditation chambers to align her consciousness with the collective frequency, even experimental treatments that left her weak and nauseated for weeks. Nothing worked. Her mind remained stubbornly, impossibly human-like in its disorder. The irony wasn't lost on her that she had been stationed on a diplomatic outpost where that very quality might have been useful, if anyone had bothered to notice. Another rejection? Helan materialized beside her, his own skin patterns a sympathetic violet. Of all the Vorthak on the station, only he had ever shown her genuine kindness, though even he could never understand the true depth of her isolation. Number 47, Elsa replied, letting the hologram dissolve. They're running out of polite ways to say I'm fundamentally broken. Before Helen could respond, alarms began wailing throughout the station. Red emergency lights bathed the chamber as the station's AI announced, "Unknown vessel approaching. All personnel to stations. Diplomatic Protocol 7 is now in effect." The humans had arrived. Elsa had studied them, of course. Everyone had since first contact 2 years ago. A species so mentally chaotic that they couldn't even maintain a unified planetary government, yet somehow they had achieved interstellar travel through pure stubborn determination. The Vorthak High Council was still debating whether humanity represented a threat or an opportunity. As junior staff, Elsa found herself assigned to the tedious task of monitoring the human delegation's bio-readings, while the senior diplomats handled actual negotiations. She sat in the observation chamber, watching the 3 human representatives through reinforced transparasteel. They were different than she had expected. Where Vorthak moved with measured precision, these humans gestured wildly as they spoke. Their leader, a middle-aged woman with graying hair, laughed openly at something her companion said. Actual audible laughter, not the subtle color shifts that indicated Vorthak amusement. But it was the third human that captured Elsa's attention, completely. He was younger than the others, perhaps 30 standard years, with kind eyes and an expression of wonder as he examined the station's architecture. While his colleagues focused intently on the diplomatic proceedings, his attention wandered to the ceiling murals, to the way light refracted through the observation ports, to the delicate bioluminescent patterns of the Vorthak delegates. His mind, Elsa realized with a start, moved exactly like hers. She watched him for hours, noting how his thoughts seemed to leap from topic to topic, how he made connections that appeared random, but somehow made perfect sense. When the formal sessions ended, she found herself following him as he explored the station's public areas, always maintaining proper distance but unable to look away. He paused before a memorial wall dedicated to lost explorers, running his fingers over the carved names. His expression grew thoughtful, almost melancholy, and something in that moment of quiet reflection made Elsa's decision for her. She approached slowly, her skin patterns cycling through nervous amber and silver. The human noticed her immediately, turning with a smile that transformed his entire face. "Hello," he said in carefully practiced Vorthak standard. "I'm James Chen, cultural attaché. You have beautiful patterns like sunset on water." No one had ever called her patterns beautiful. Most Vorthak found them too chaotic to process comfortably. But this human watched the shifting colors with obvious appreciation, as if he could read meaning in their randomness. "I am Elsa," she replied, surprised by the steadiness of her own voice. I have been observing your delegation. Observing us? James's eyebrows rose, a human expression. She had learned indicated curiosity rather than offense. Finding us suitably alien and mysterious? Finding you suitably familiar, Elsa admitted, then immediately regretted the confession. But James didn't laugh or look uncomfortable. Instead, his expression grew thoughtful. You know, he said, slowly, I've been watching your people too, and I keep thinking, you all seem so perfectly synchronized, like a symphony where every note knows its exact place. But you, he gestured at her gently pulsing patterns. You're more like jazz. Improvised, complex, beautiful in its unpredictability. The comparison should have felt like another rejection. Jazz was, after all, chaotic and unstructured. Instead, Elsa felt something she had never experienced before: recognition, understanding, acceptance. They talked for hours that day, and the next, and the next. James spoke of Earth's diversity, of how humans celebrated their differences rather than trying to eliminate them. Elsa shared her experiences as an outcast, her failed attempts to conform, her growing certainty that she was fundamentally wrong for this universe. Not wrong, James corrected her gently during one of their conversations in the station's arboretum. Just designed for a different kind of music. It was during their final conversation before his departure that James said something that changed everything. I wish I didn't have to leave, he admitted, watching the stars wheel slowly past the observation port. I've never met anyone whose mind moves like yours. It's like finally finding someone who speaks my language. Elsa's patterns flared bright gold, pure joy, unfiltered and beautiful. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then, gathering courage, she didn't know she possessed, Elsa asked the question that would define the rest of her life. Will you be my husband? The words hung in the air between species, between worlds, between two minds that had finally found their harmony in shared chaos. James stared at her, his human eyes wide with surprise and something that looked very much like hope. Yes, he whispered, then stronger. Yes, Elsa. I will. The Vorthak High Council was scandalized. Helen called her insane. The human delegation required 3 emergency conferences with Earth before approving the unprecedented union. But Elsa had finally found someone who chose her, not despite her differences but because of them. In a universe obsessed with perfection and conformity, she had found the one species that celebrated beautiful chaos. And for the first time in her life, her patterns pulsed in perfect, joyful harmony.